Today, black, gray, or rosy?
He's in conference with Mr. Honeywell, so I'm afraid I'll have to pick black. Also grim.
Maybe you better go in alone, Margie. Your father gets upset just looking at me.
What's the big problem this time?
Well, not so big, just urgent. Freddie's invited me to a fraternity house party at his alma mater, and I want an advance on my allowance so he can pay the expenses.
Oh, it's only a loan.
Okay, I'll buzz the lion's den for you.
Boy, are we a couple of clever old devils.
Hey, yes, Betty?
Margie would like to see you if you're not too busy, Mr. Albright.
I asked her to wait a couple of minutes.
This is perfect. Now we won't have to send for her and she won't suspect anything.
Oh, I hate to trick Margie like this. I mean, why can't we tell her the truth? Tell her for once that we wanted to get one of our clients so mad at us that he'll cancel his account so that we can sign up one of his competitors.
Don't be a drooling idiot. Telling Margie what you want her to do is just asking for disaster.
Yeah, maybe you're right. It is a switch, isn't it, using Margie's talent for getting into trouble for our benefit for a change?
She'll get that cantankerous old Whaley off our necks.
And then Mr. Grant will sign up with us, huh?
Which she'd never do as long as Whaley was our client.
Mr. Grant has hated him ever since he walked out on that deal to merge their two companies. Old Whaley's sure a queer duck, isn't he?
The man is crazy. He puts that precious stamp collection of his ahead of business. Come on now, get Margie in here and let's go into our act.
Betty, have Margie come right in, will you? Get ready. She's coming.
Come on now. Buck up, old man. I know the future looks black, but there'll be a place for you somewhere.
You just get fired, Mr. Albright?
Oh, what are you doing here?
Now. Don't let your personal feelings interfere. Keep your mind on the matter at hand.
What's the matter, Dad? Has something happened?
Now, don't be alarmed, Margie. Just business. We rolled the dice and lost, that's all. Now, don't you worry your little head about it.
Oh, no, Mr. Honeywell. She might as well know the bitter truth. She's old enough to face the ugly realities of life. She brought one of them with her, didn't she?
What's this all about?
Oh, brace yourself, honey. Our biggest client, Jason Whaley, is about to cancel his contract. And that means...
Oh, but why?
He's threatening to cancel unless we come up with a big deal. We've got a great deal cooking, but we can't even get in to see him.
You mean he won't even talk to you?
No, he's too wrapped up in his hobby. He's a philatelist. You see...
A philatelist? You mean he chases women?
No, he collects stamps.
That's right, Margie. Mr. Whaley has one of the finest collections in America. And right now he's on the trail of one of the rarest stamps in existence, an inverted Arabian airmail. He won't talk to anyone until he finds it.
What's an inverted Arabian? An upside-down sheik?
I'll be in my office, all right. I'm going to call my real estate broker and tell him to sell my house. We're all going to have to pull in our belts.
He's a brave and gallant man.
But, Dad, this is awful. Isn't there anything you can do?
I'm afraid not. But don't you worry about it. Now, what was it that you wanted to see me about?
Well, I was going to ask for an advance on my allowance, but this is no time for a thing like that.
An advance? Is Freddie sponging again?
On the contrary. Your daughter is to be my guest at a fraternity house party. I merely want to negotiate a short-term loan in order to cover expenses. I have adequate security, and here is my collateral.
Collateral?
Backed up by the state of New York. It shows that I have 10 more unemployment checks coming.
You little freak.
Dad, please remember what Mr. Honeywell said about personal feelings.
Oh, yes. Stick to the matter at hand. Well, I'm sorry, Margie, but you won't be making any more trips until that Whaley matter is settled. And if it isn't settled, you won't have any allowance to make any trips with.
Dad, maybe I can help you.
You?
Sure, I'll bet I could get in to see Mr. Whaley. Oh, please, Dad, let me have a crack at it.
Baby, it's nice of you to want to help your old dad, but you know how Mr. Honeywell feels about your getting mixed up with the clients.
But I'm not going to do anything mixed up. I'll just get in to see Mr. Whaley and tell him you've got a deal for him.
I'm afraid nobody can get in to see Mr. Whaley without an inverted Arabian airmail stamp. Even you, and I'm not discounting your versatility.
Well, Freddie, I guess we might as well run along.
But what about the house party?
Well, we'll just have to forget it for the time being. Come on, we've got things to do.
She bought it. We're in business, boy. See, you hand Whaley some phony pitch about that stamp, and he'll be so furious he'll cancel that contract before we can say Margie Albright.
I wonder just what crazy things he's got in mind.
I don't know, but I'll bet on one thing. As the Bobsters say, man, it's the craziest.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Jason Whaley, please. It's about his stamp collection. Yes, thank you. Well, that certainly was easy. I wonder why Dad and Mr. Honeywell didn't think of it.
Margie, I don't like this. You know what your father said about mixing up clients.
Hello, Mr. Whaley? This is Margie Albright, Vernon Albright's daughter. Now, I know you aren't interested in talking about business right now, but would you be interested in talking about an inverted Arabian airmail?
An inverted Arabian airmail? Why, I should say I am interested in talking about it. Could you possibly come to my home? Splendid. I'll expect you. Goodbye. Miss Albright, I didn't realize your father placed such a high value on my account that he'd send his own daughter with such magnificent news. And don't tell me that Mr. Albright doesn't deserve the credit for this.
Oh, he's responsible for my being here, all right. Is that your fabulous stamp collection?
It's my life's work. I've devoted more time to it than I have to business. And now you bring me the biggest prize of all. Where is it?
Well, first let me tell you that my father has a terrific business deal for you, and he's been trying desperately to get to you, but he didn't because you wouldn't, and it'll make you tons of money, and it's got to be closed in 24 hours. So just pick up the phone and talk to Dad for 5 minutes, and then we'll make Arabian airmail talk.
Of course. I'll accept any deal your father makes, naturally. But what about the stamp?
Sure, the stamp. Well, Mr. Whaley, I don't know anything about the stamp. I just used it as an excuse to get in to see you.
You what?
Now, wait, don't fly off the handle.
This is the most unethical way of doing business I've ever encountered. Albright ought to be reported for doing a thing like this. Sending his daughter to play on my weakness. Young lady, you'd better leave before I lose my temper.
Now, please, Mr. Whaley, don't blame Dad. I'm terribly sorry. I'll clean it up. Isn't it?
Well, of course it's sticky. It's quick, dry glue. My album. My precious album. Get out of here.
Take it.
Get out of here. Tell your father I'll be in his office in the morning to tear up my contract personally.
And so I came right here from Mr. Whaley's house to tell you the whole thing before he does.
So you've done it again. How many times have I told you to stay away from our clients?
Oh, I was only trying to help. You couldn't get in to see him, and I thought...
Do you realize that you cost us the most valuable client we have? When he comes in here to tear up his contract, he'll be tearing up Honeywell and Todd along with it. All right, I'm going to look up my insurance policy and see what it says about suicide.
He didn't have to be so rough about it.
Well, that's all right, Dad. I deserve it. I've ruined everything. Your job and...
Now, baby, don't cry. Everything is just fine.
What's fine about it?
Oh, well, we'll get by somehow. There'll be other jobs. But I've only got one daughter, and she's the most important thing in the world to me.
Oh, Dad, do anything, but don't be nice to me. I can't stand it.
Why shouldn't I be nice to you? We Albrights have to stick together, don't we? Now, you just run along home, and I'll see you tonight. What are you up to now?
Calling Grant at his hotel to tell him the happy news.
Excuse me, Mr. Grant, a telephone call for you. Mr. Honeywell says it's important.
Okay, Hanson. Thanks.
Hello, Honeywell. What's up? No fooling. So you finally got rid of that old coot Whaley, eh?
That's right, Mr. Grant. So there's nothing to keep you from signing with us any longer. You'll be at the office first thing in the morning? Fine, fine. I'll see you then. Well, boy, what do you think of my scheme now?
I've got to admit it, Mr. Honeywell. You finally outsmarted Margie.
And Freddie, Dad was so sweet and kind, he almost broke my heart. If there was only some way I could square things with Mr. Whaley.
Why did he have to be a stamp collector? Now, take me. I'm a collector, too. But I don't get fanatic about it. I save string. Got a great big ball of it this big.
Freddie, I think I've got it.
Uh-oh, I'm leaving.
Now listen, Freddie. What if a burglar broke into Mr. Whaley's home and took his stamp collection, and I saved it for him by routing the burglar as he was trying to make off with the loot?
Now, isn't that just like a woman? How could a little thing like you handle a big, strong burglar?
I didn't say I could handle a big, strong burglar, but I can handle you.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. I've been lifting weights lately. Me?
Mm-hmm. Dad says you're the criminal type.
Oh, no. Absolutely no. I refuse to do it.
Please, Freddie. For me, pretty, that is, gorgeous, please.
I said no, and for once I mean it. I've helped you with your gags before, but this is no gag. I could wind up in jail. It's no use rolling those big green eyes at me. I positively refuse. Women.
Oh, stop grumbling, Freddie. You came of your own free will.
After you kiss a guy who has any will left.
Now, did everything straight?
Yeah. When you and Whaley enter the study, you give me the signal to break in. I hold the gun on him and grab the stamp collection. I better make sure it's empty. I might get nervous and pull the trigger.
Get him in a corner, but be sure your back's toward me so I can grab the vase off his desk and knock the gun out of your hand. Then I win Mr. Whaley's boundless gratitude and you go chicken and flee.
Yeah, that part'll be easy. I'm chicken already.
Now remember the signal. You come in when I say, I think I hear someone outside the windows. Got it? And get in as quick as you can when I give you the cue.
Don't worry. This will be the fastest holdup since the time my suspenders broke at the junior prom.
There's nothing further to discuss.
But, Mr. Whaley, I insist on an opportunity to apologize for the unfortunate accident this afternoon.
Apologies will not repair the damage done to my stamp collection.
Shh, listen. I think I hear someone outside those windows.
What are you talking about? I don't hear anything.
Well, I think I hear someone outside those windows.
Okay, Mac. This is a stick-up. Don't do nothing foolish and you won't get wet. I mean, shot.
My stamps. Give me my stamps.
Now, stand back. Remember, I got a gun.
I'm not afraid of your gun. Give me my stamps.
Lady, tell him I mean it. Tell him I'll shoot.
Whaley, what have you done?
I've saved my stamp collection from that miserable thief. That's what I've done. Now I'm going to call the police.
Get out of here.
Mr. Whaley, are you all right? Yes, I'm all... my stamps. My stamps. He got away with my collection.
No, he didn't, Mr. Whaley. Here they are, safe and sound.
But what about that burglar?
Well, while your back was turned, he came to and knocked you over the head. And while he was conking you, I grabbed his gun and, well, he escaped, but I think I wounded him.
Miss Albright, you're magnificent. You stood up to a dangerous thug and saved my stamp collection. How can I ever thank you?
Yeah, well, you could renew your contract with Honeywell and Todd. It would make my father very happy.
Of course, that goes without saying. But I want to do something for you. Anything you say anytime. Remember that, Margie. I mean it.
Well, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't mention anything about tonight to Dad. He might be mad at me for interfering in the first place.
You have my word. I'll just tell him that you persuaded me to renew my contract, but I won't mention what persuaded me. And don't forget, you have a favor coming from me whenever you may need it.
Gee, this is sort of like owning Aladdin's lamp. And I must say you're a very nice genie.
Well, gentlemen, I'll bet you were beginning to think I'd never be signing this contract, eh? Okay. Seems to be in order. You got rid of that old coot Whaley just in time. I was going to sign with another firm when I got back to San Francisco.
Oh, we're very happy to have you aboard, Mr. Grant. You'll never regret it.
Never saw such a stubborn old fool as Whaley. He should have agreed to merge with my company 10 years ago. That still would have been the best solution.
That will be our next project, Mr. Grant, so you can sign with a happy mind.
Good morning, gentlemen. I have wonderful news for you. Well, Garrett Grant, the old highbinder, what are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
I just dropped in to extend my contract with Honeywell and Todd for 10 more years, and I want you to handle it personally.
What? You mean to say you're still a client of this firm?
Why, certainly.
Who are you, cheap, double-crossing crook?
Now, wait, I didn't,
Mr. Grant, you don't understand. There's been a mistake.
Now, don't try to double-talk me. I'm going to sign with an ethical firm the minute I get back to San Francisco tomorrow morning.
You and your smart ideas. Now see what you've done.
Me? That's the whole story, Margie, and I'm sure stuck with it. I warned Mr. Honeywell that he'd get into trouble if he tried to make a patsy out of you.
I don't know, Dad. It sounds more like one of your ideas.
How can you say such a thing? Don't you think I know better than that? I wouldn't try to make a fool out of my own daughter, now would I?
Well, I think we've kicked that one around enough. Question is, what are you going to do now? Hey, what about that merger you told me about? That ought to be a cinch for a couple of sharp businessmen like you and Mr. Honeywell.
Oh, Whaley's the stumbling block there. He turned it down years ago. He's too wrapped up in that stamp collection of his.
Well, you haven't tried lately, have you? I really shouldn't do this for you under the circumstances, but I guess I've just got a heart of purest gold. Besides, I want to go to that house party with Freddie this weekend.
Well, what are you going to do?
I'm going to arrange a merger between Mr. Whaley and Mr. Grant, for which I expect to receive the usual broker's fee at 5%, isn't it?
Hello? Well, hello, Margie, my dear. What can I do for you? A favor? Why, of course. I told you all you have to do is name it.
That's wonderful, Mr. Whaley. It's a pretty big favor, but it'll be good for both of us because it'll make me happy and enable you to devote all your time to your stamp collection. Wouldn't that be something? Yes, I'll be right out to see you. Thanks, Mr. Whaley.
Margie, what are you up to? What is this favor business? If you're off on another one of your wild escapades...
Thanks, no, I've already been. Now, do you want explanations or do you want that merger?
Why, the merger, of course,
Then just leave it to little Margie, shall we? Where's Mr. Grant now?
He's at his hotel. He's giving a big party to wind up that sales convention, but he's leaving for San Francisco tonight.
Okay, you hurry down to his hotel and hang on to him till I get there. I'll join you in 2 shakes of Mr. Whaley's fountain pen with a merger clutched in my little hot hand. I got it. Whaley and Grant are as good as merged. All they have to decide now is whose name comes first. Did you get hold of Mr. Grant?
Oh, I sent my name in, but they won't even let me get in to see him.
Just leave it to me.
I'm sorry, miss. Nobody gets in but delegates to our convention.
Well, just tell Mr. Grant that Mr. Albright has the contract for the merger with Mr. Whaley. Well, don't just stand there. Tell him.
Well, I'll tell him, but I don't think it'll do much good. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Grant. Another message from Albright. He says he's got a contract for a merger with Whaley and wants to bring it into you.
That's what I call a desperation pitch. Does he think I'd believe a phony story like that when he couldn't even get rid of Whaley? Tell him I won't see him. And if he gets obnoxious, have him thrown out.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll have to leave now to get my plane. You stick around and see that the boys have a good time. Goodbye. See you on the coast.
But I tell you, this merger's on the level. My daughter has a contract with her.
Sorry, Mr. Grant gives the orders around here.
Now what are we going to do? Excuse me, lady. Oh, don't be scared. We're one of the acts.
We're going to get in to see Mr. Grant if I have to be a horse's neck. Come on, Dad.
When you're through with the outfit, bring it back to the dressing room.
Right. Now, pay the man, Dad. $50. Come on, we're in a hurry.
I will. I'm trying to get it out of my pocket.
Hey, you were already on. Where are you going?
We're taking a shortcut to Santa Anita.
I didn't know that horse was a mare.
Nope, that's not him. Let's go.
Hey, what's going on here?
We're just trying to find Mr. Grant. One side.
I thought you were a girl horse. I don't know which end to believe.
Never mind that. Where's Mr. Grant?
Oh, now I know who you are. Well, you're wasting your time, Albright. Mr. Grant left for the airport. He leaves for San Francisco in 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Help! Unzip us. Get us out of this thing.
Come on, hurry up.
Oh, I can't. The blasted thing is stuck.
Stuck? But we've got to get to the airport. Come on, Dad.
Get us to the airport quick. I'll double the fare.
Airport? Yes, sir.
What's the matter, Margie?
The cab driver took off. I'll have to drive it myself, Dad.
Margie, for goodness sake, be careful. Take it easy.
Officer, what's the quickest way to the airport?
Turn left at the next light and go straight about a mile. You can't miss it.
Excuse me, sir, but are you Mr. Grant?
Yes, I am, but...
Good. I'm Vern and Albright's daughter, and my father has a contract for the merger of your company and Mr. Whaley's. Haven't you, Dad?
You bet I have, Mr. Grant.
Oh, where is your father?
Right here. I came in second by a half a length. Margie, I think it's pretty broad-minded of you to invite Mr. Honeywell over for dinner after he cooked up that scheme on you.
Rise above it is my motto. Besides, I pulled the Grant deal out of the fire for you, Dad, not Mr. Honeywell.
Oh, you're really wonderful, honey. Who else would ever have thought of getting into that horse's costume?
Oh, that reminds me. When I serve Mr. Honeywell a steak tonight, promise you won't do one thing or it might choke him.
His steak might choke him if I do what? Well, that's my little Margie.